We all love to come up with ideas and dream up new features that could make Minecraft even more interesting, but unfortunately some things remain dreams. Have you ever wondered why there are no mummies or evil golems in Minecraft? In this video I'll continue to uncover the secrets of the rejected suggestions, tell you why they will never be added, and perhaps dispel your doubts. Be sure to watch part 1 before watching part 2. Make yourself comfortable, put your likes, and let's discover the mysterious world of Mojang rejections together. How about moving through lava? Mojang rejected the idea of adding lava boats, as with the introduction of the Strider in the Nether update, players already have a way to get around lava. Striders do a great job, and the developers feel that the game doesn't need to duplicate this feature by adding lava boats. So if you need to cross a lava lake, Strider will help you with that. What about basalt as the new cobblestone? Mojang rejected this idea as the game already has blackstone, which serves a similar function. Blackstone was a great addition for those who want to use the black version of cobblestone in construction. The other thing is that for tools and weapons made of blackstone, still for some reason the stone texture is used. Even when creating a furnace, we get the normal version of it. This is where the inconsistency comes in. As for using a torch or other light source in the hand to light the way, that idea was also rejected. Mojang felt that such a feature would have a significant impact on gameplay and decided against adding it. The reasoning behind this decision is that lighting in Minecraft is an important game mechanic, and being able to hold a torch in your hand could have changed the balance between exploration and survival. But as it sounds to me, it's all complete bullshit. Honestly, with each new version, I install either Optifine, which allows any light source in hand, or another mod with this feature. Personally, I find this decision by Mojang strange. The idea of adding a secondary redstone system such as Bluestone was also rejected. The thing is that in the Villagers and Pillagers update, a new kind of redstone was supposed to appear. There is no exact information why it was abandoned, but it could be seen in the update trailer when it flew out in the background near villagers. So Mojang is focusing on expanding the features and improving what they already have. Since I don't know much about redstone, I can't even imagine what Bluestone could be like, or unique features it might have had. If you have any ideas, feel free to write about them in the comments. The next item is extremely strange, but the developers reject any ideas that are related to timer blocks, commands, items, and enchantments. Okay, if everything is clear with timers, it falls under the category of advanced things that do not really fit into the world of Minecraft. The same can be said for items and enchantments, but the commands is a different case. They're designed for a certain category of people who use them, so it's an odd decision. Although timer enchantments are something new for me too. Mojang also rejected the idea of making torches extinguish when exposed to rain. Though this would have added realism, the developers decided that such a change would complicate gameplay and break the current lighting balance, making exploring in the rain much more dangerous and less comfortable for players. This is where I'd say 50-50. Yeah, it would make the game harder to play, especially given the frequency of rain, but players could use other light sources like lamp or lanterns. Small details like this make the game more atmospheric, like watering farmland with rain or lighting campfire and candles with a flame arrow. And what about sleeping bags? Mojang also rejected this idea, as beds are a unique item in the game, and adding other similar furniture items like sleeping bags is unlikely. Beds already fulfill an important role in the sleep and revival mechanics, and the developers do not want to add similar items so as not to create unnecessary confusion and keep existing blocks unique. Excessive confusion, you say? Yeah, that's something I definitely agree with. Ideas related to the stacking of ender chests, meaning that there are several ender chests, each of which has a unique inventory, and the creation of double ender chests are also not considered by Mojang. The developers have decided to leave the ender chests as they are and not add the ability to combine them in order to maintain balance and not to complicate the storage system in the game. Overall, I think this decision is well justified. At the very least, we have shulker boxes. Miner helmets will also not appear in the game as they were deemed too modern for Minecraft style. While this could have been a handy item for exploring dark caves, the developers chose to save the spirit of the game by avoiding adding such elements of modern equipment. I agree with this decision when it comes to modern battery-powered helmets, but we have a marvelous example of a Minecraft Dungeons game. It has cave crawler armor, which looks like you'd attach a candle to a leather helmet. Pretty much a great solution. As for saddles made of materials other than leather, they will not appear in Minecraft either. Saddles are an important element of the game, and the developers decided to leave them as they are, avoiding adding new variants in order not to complicate the mechanics of crafting and to keep the atmosphere. A unique horse saddle appeared in one of the snapshots, but then they abandoned the idea and removed it in the next snapshot. Colored wood will also not appear in Minecraft. The current limits on changing the color of wood are part of the concept of the game, game, as the developers want to keep the unique features of each type of wood and not complicate the crafting system by adding a lot of new material options. Again, it's like 50-50. On the one hand, it's logical, each type of wood has its own unique color, but the builders, I think, wouldn't mind having such a thing in the game. Now, about the bee models. Their size and appearance can be considered as final. The developers decided not to change these aspects in order to save the style of the game and the consistency of bees with the rest of the mobs in Minecraft. Yeah, there are a lot of concept art in which the bees look like small insects, but in general, I think that the way they look now is quite good. What about alligators, crocodiles, and related creatures? These creatures will not appear in Minecraft either. The developers prefer hostile mobs to be fantasy creatures rather than real animals to keep the game world unique and atmospheric. It's funny that in 2018, when Minecraft was released in China, they created a unique mob vote for their market. The mob you could vote for was exactly the alligator, but the winner was Panda, which appeared in version 1.14. Yeah, I don't know how to write about it, but in this list, they're baby dolphins. That's right, in the list in which the developers write that they will not add anything from it to the game. Ironic, don't you think? Literally, in the very last drop, baby dolphins appeared in the game, so there's still hope that the rest from this list will also be added. How do you feel about Mummies and Pyramids? Mummies will also not appear in the game as they're too similar to the existing husks. Mojang preferred to keep the uniqueness of each mob and not to introduce duplicate creatures, in order not to reduce the diversity of the game world. And that's why we have Stray, Skeleton, and Bogged. At the very least, the mummy can be replaced with something more creepy and create a small mini-boss. Realistic sharks will also not appear in the game. Hostile mobs in Minecraft should be fantasy creatures, not real animals. I already mentioned this. That is, even if sharks appear in the game, they can be neutral. In the real world, such sharks exist, but still I'd like to bring a little danger to the harmless aquatic world of Minecraft. Rows of Illagers will now be accompanied with golems. The developers decided that creating golems for Illagers would be unnecessary, as it could affect the balance of the game and make interaction with these mobs too complicated. Golems are traditionally associated with protecting villages and the player, and adding them to Illagers could have changed the role in the game, turning Illagers into more threatening opponents. Generally, on the one hand, yes, but in the same Minecraft dungeons, there's a great example of this, the redstone golems, which just serve as Illagers. They would fit perfectly in vanilla Minecraft. Also, taming and being able to ride dolphins is forbidden in order to keep the behavior of these sea creatures realistic. Some time ago, I read somewhere that the developers talked about adding such a feature, but eventually gave up on this. All because by doing so, they would have put into the players' heads that dolphins can be ridden in real life as well. I have no proof of what I just said, so take this information a bit skeptical. I could be wrong. If you wanted there to be danger in the depths of the sea, you shouldn't expect it. Drowned will not try to drown players. Mojang decided that adding such a feature would complicate the game and might make interacting with drowned too dangerous, breaking the balance between exploration and survival. Okay, maybe that's the case, but what's stopping them from making certain areas where players would get such surprises? As for the dolphins on which the drowned ride, especially if they're armed with tridents, this will definitely never happen. The developers decided that such mechanics were too complicated and not suitable for the spirit of the game. Although it would be glorious. Imagine how the player will be surprised when a drowned riding a dolphin swims out of the dark sea abyss. As for the ducks, they just don't match expectations. There are no plans to bring ducks into the game, as the developers have decided that these mobs will not add the necessary variety or value to the gameplay. It's very strange to read this, considering that it's creatures like these that make the world of the game alive. I understand that we kinda have a chicken that has the traits of a duck, but that's a pretty old joke by Notch, who just wanted to mess with players. Although maybe I'm wrong. Ghost miners that could guide the player through caves were also considered and rejected. The developers decided that such an element didn't fit the overall direction of the game, and its existence could have ruined the balance and atmosphere of cave exploration. It seems to me that Rascal in 2022 mob vote is exactly what this mob was inspired by. He too could be found in a cave, and his job was to help players. There's a creepypasta taboo in this list, but it most likely refers to the most famous one, Herobrine. There's nothing wrong with this. Creepypasta for Minecraft appear almost every day, so it's logical that adding another mob that wants to take revenge doesn't make sense. But the Herobrine, this is something truly familiar, a phenomenon that has become part of the history of Minecraft. Villagers are pacifists. They don't want to fight, and that's why golems exist. Villagers have no desire to become guards, knights, soldiers, fighters, protectors, or warriors. Nor are they interested in following the player, being tamed, enslaved, or hired to help. They have their own things to do. Mojang has decided that the role of defending villages should remain with golems, and are interested in focusing on improving golems so that they can effectively defend villages. But so far, no visible improvements in golem behavior have been found. Kinda weird. Nitwit villagers will never get jobs. Green-robbed villagers were always in the game, but it was kind of a mistake. The only way to summon one was with a command, but it didn't do anything. It was a dummy mob. Then Jeb and his team thought on what they could do with it, what profession this particular mob should be given. He got the idea that they should leave him as he was. After all, sometimes the mistakes that the community likes, you need to leave in the game, and it's better to improve something. In general, I don't understand why players who suggest such a thing, but suddenly, if you wanted to create offspring directly with villagers, this will never happen. I hope that's true. Somehow I didn't expect something like that to be suggested. That's how much you have to love villagers to ask developers to add mechanics like that. Gross. It's probably the most trivial idea that players have suggested hundreds of times. Mojang will never add guns to Minecraft. We're talking about any form of gunfire. Muskets, cannons, hand grenade launchers, and even shotguns. Everything that can be classified as a gunfire, the developers categorically reject it. And that's logical because Minecraft is a game that emphasizes exploration and creativity. Just don't tell them about fireworks, which can cause damage to players, or they'll remove that too. Also, Mojang is never gonna change the name of the game. This is obvious and hardly needs any explanation. Minecraft is a brand that millions of people around the world know and love, and any name change would cause confusion and break the connection to the original game that represents creativity and limitless possibilities. In addition, Redwood Forest, which is a forest of giant sequoia-like trees located in Australia, will not appear in the game because it was deemed too similar to the mega taiga biome, now called relic pine taiga and relic spruce taiga. The developers feel that adding this biome will not bring the needed variety to the game world, and this decision is reasonable considering that they're indeed similar. But I believe that the game could use some variety. The names of items and mobs featured in the snapshots or beta versions are also unlikely to change. Mojang aims for stability and avoids changes, so that players can get used to new items without surprises. Their expectations though. For example, it took Jeb a long time to come up with a name for Ravager. Jens asked for help from the Minecraft community, and while they were thinking, for 6 whole snapshots, the Ravager was called the Illager Beast. Today we'll learn about many ideas that unfortunately will never be a part of Minecraft, but who knows, maybe the developers' limitations and choices are what help keep that unique balance between exploration, building, and survival. What do you say? What ideas would you keep in the game? Write in the comments. While you're waiting for the new videos, you can watch these ones, they're also very interesting. Subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up button, and click on the bell. See you in the next one as we continue to discover Minecraft in new ways. Yeah, someone really wants villagers to have kids.